it gets to a point where you have to acknowledge where you are at in your life is because of your own doing. If you are looking around at your circumstances and you're unhappy with your situation and you don't know why and you can't pinpoint what exactly the reason is, I promise you it is time to take a second and look inward and think about why. The best version of you and your best self is in there, but in order to bring them out, you're going to have to look around and look at yourself and think about how you are contributing to your own demise and to your own toxic habits. So, if you are looking to improve your circumstances, get rid of your toxic habits, and overall just become your best self, then today's video is going to be for you. Hi, my loves, and welcome back. My name is Chelsea, and on this channel, we talk about everything self-improvement, self-development, just figuring out how we can be the best version of ourselves and just living life to the fullest, really. So, the first step to becoming your best self by auditing your life is to analyze your life and your circumstances. I want you to think about a typical day in your life. So, when you wake up, what time you wake up, what you're doing throughout your day, what you do for work, who you're hanging out with, how you feel when you hang out with them, what you're doing for your hobbies, what you're doing during your free time, what you're eating, whatever it might be. I want you to think about every single detail in your life and think about how you feel about it. Is there anything that is draining you? Is there anything you're unhappy with? Is there anything that you feel like could be improved somewhat? And this could be anything. Maybe you feel like you don't have enough money. Maybe you feel like you don't have enough time to yourself. Maybe you don't like how late you're waking up in the day. You don't feel like you have enough time to do anything during the day. Maybe you feel anxious at your job. Maybe you are sluggish. Maybe you feel like you're eating junk food 24/7. There are so many categories that we can analyze. So once you start to figure out, okay, there are certain aspects that I'm not feeling great about, I want you to look at these categories and think about where you could improve in some of them. You can audit your mental and your emotional health. You can audit your physical health and well-being. You can audit your lifestyle. You can audit your friendships, your career, your passions, your hobbies, your finances, your spiritual and emotional growth, your environment. There are so many things that we can analyze. But if you are feeling a little bit stuck and you're like, my life's okay, but I don't really know, like what I'm unhappy with, list out these categories and actually go one by one and think about your life and if you are happy with your circumstance. And I don't want us to think, like, this is not going into it thinking, okay, I'm just going to be realistic because you know what, it's unlikely for me to be able to have my own place right now. It's unlikely for me to be a millionaire right now. Whatever it is, whatever you desire, what would make you happy in life and make you feel secure and make you feel good, I want you to write it down. Because if there is a will, there's a way, and we're going to get there. The second step to auditing your life to become your best self, and this one it's not cute, I'm not gonna lie, but it is to find your blind spots. So once we've acknowledged where we're not super happy in our lives, where we could improve in some circumstances, it's time to do the hard thing and think about how we are contributing to our own demise. I want you to ask yourself, how am I enabling myself in certain situations? So for example, something that I had to clock myself for ages ago was just my money management and my spending. I would complain all the time about not having enough money for certain things and yada, yada, yada. Meanwhile, I was doing absolutely nothing to fix my circumstance. So I had to go and backtrack it. I found that one, I was overspending. So because I was overspending, what did that mean? I didn't have enough money. Because I didn't have enough money and I was overspending, I had to think, okay, am I doing anything to prevent this? No. Then I had to start implementing new changes. So for example, because I felt like I didn't have enough money and I was overspending, I had to ask myself, okay, but am I even creating a budget for myself? Am I even tracking my finances? And if the answer was no, and it's like, well, duh, of course you're going to be overspending when you have no plan. Another thing I had to clock myself for was feeling overwhelmed and feeling burnt out. And then I had to backtrack and think, okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm feeling burnt out. Why? And then I realized it was because I was saying yes to too many things and I felt like I had to respond to people immediately. And then going from there, I had to ask myself, okay, but why do I feel like I have to respond to people immediately? And why do I always feel a need to say yes? And on top of that, was I being intentional about creating space for myself throughout the week to make sure that I had solitude time, that I had time to recharge and I had time for myself before even thinking about hanging out with anybody else? If you really want to go deeper and figure out what your limiting beliefs are or what your habits might be that aren't really helping your situation, shadow work is going to be your best friend. Now, if you're unfamiliar with shadow work, I have a quote here, explanation that I'm just going to read quickly. And it says that shadow work is a process of exploring and integrating the parts of ourselves that we often reject or deny, often those that are considered unpleasant or negative. So, for example, maybe you feel jealous of someone or something, and instead of immediately pushing that situation down, that emotion down, because it's bad or it's uncomfortable or it's just something you like shouldn't be feeling, it's deciding to do the hard thing and face it head on and acknowledge the feeling and dive into why you're feeling that. So let's say I was feeling jealous of somebody. Instead of just trying to ignore it because I know that being jealous is not a cute thing to do, it's acknowledging it and journaling it down and saying, okay, what am I jealous of? Why do I feel like I am jealous of this person? Are there any internalized beliefs that I am projecting onto these people or this person or to this situation? Is there anything I could do in my life right now that might get rid of these feelings? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is yes. So, for example, let's say I was jealous of somebody who was super advanced in their career that maybe is in the same age group as me. And instead of me ignoring that feeling and trying to apply a super positive band aid on top of it, which of course we should always be positive, but I think it is also important for us to acknowledge our feelings and not just continuously push them down under the guise of being positive and happy, knowing that we feel differently inwards. But just instead of saying, okay, you know what, yeah, I do know that everybody is going to get where they need to be on their own time and feeling a way about it inside, it's acknowledging the way that I feel about it inside first and saying, okay, you know what, maybe it's because I feel like I haven't been working as hard in my career at this point in my life. And that is something that I can change. I can't change other people and what's going on for them, but I can change my beliefs and I can change my attitude and what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. I know it's so uncomfortable, but you're not going to be able to fix these issues until you acknowledge them. And if you want to continue to say, I don't know, feel jealous 24/7 or randomly at random situations or about random people or feel insecure, you're gonna have to do the hard work. And yeah, it's not cute. I'm not gonna lie, like it's not cute sometimes, but you do feel a lot better once you get through it. I know I have, like in the past when I have had to do shadow work about various things. Because at the end of the day, you cannot fix something that you're unaware of. Now, the third step into auditing your life so you can become the best version of yourself is to implement habits and systems that will help you improve these circumstances. Like I said in the past, I was always complaining about money, but then it got to a point where I was like, okay, but I'm doing this to myself. I'm complaining every day and I'm not doing anything differently. And at the end of the day, this is my own doing because did I need to buy bubble tea 3 times a week? No, I didn't. And you know what? I think it obviously has to do with just it's so much easier for us to blame external circumstances and for us to blame other people than it is for us to take accountability for our own actions. I am not even going to deny that because it's something that I do as well. I had to think about my actions or my lack of actions that were contributing to my day to day, to my lifestyle. So, for example, now that I have fixed this, I now go on a weekly money date with myself and I make it really cute. So obviously, it's not an actual date, but I make it really cute for myself. And it's just where I will take a day throughout the week and I will think just like audit my spending, my income, and then like categories that I'm spending my things on. So yeah, like how much money I spent on transportation, how much money I spent on food, if I stuck to my budget that I had, if I'm spending most of my money on things that I just want but I don't really need. All of those things that I do on a specific day in the week, and I'll make it really fun for myself because I have a Notion where like I made it really cute and I have fun emojis, and I also will like sometimes buy myself a fun little treat. Maybe not bubble tea because I do be overdoing that, but just something fun and I make it cute. Maybe I'll go to a cafe and I just romanticize that whole just routine for myself so that it's something that I feel like I want to stick to. And I'm not gonna lie, like, was it uncomfortable for me to look at how much I was spending on food? Yes. Was I embarrassed to see how poorly I was spending my money? Absolutely. But I couldn't fix that until I acknowledged it. And now when I open my bank account or I do my weekly money audit and my money date, I'm not feeling anxious in my chest because I don't know where any of my money is going. I am doing the hard thing and facing it head on so that I can, one, take a breath, but two, I can figure out what the problem is or where I'm at and where I want to go. And then I can create actionable steps to get there instead of just feeling insecure and uncomfortable all the time. And when you do implement these systems for whatever the topic is that you want to improve, you also need to ask yourself, okay, what limiting beliefs do I have surrounding this topic that might be impacting me? I had to ask myself, do I believe that money management is a learnable skill? And if the answer is yes, then there is no reason for me to start panicking and feeling like I don't have my life together, because at the end of the day, any skill can be learned at any age. Whatever it is that you want to work on, find one simple habit that you can implement now, just one, just so you don't overwhelm yourself. And you can do one for multiple categories if you feel like it. But what is one thing that you can do that you know you will stick to, that will improve your life, that will help you get to a place where you are happy with your circumstances? We have the power to create the life we desire, but it is not going to happen for us if we keep shying away from our habits and our toxic traits that are not serving us. We have the power to create the life we desire, but it is not going to happen for us if we keep ignoring how we are contributing to these poor circumstances in our lives. We cannot continue to ignore our toxic habits. We need to acknowledge that they're there and figure out a plan for us to fix them. Do the uncomfortable thing now so that your future self will be happy that you acknowledged it in the first place, so that you can move on from there. You don't always want to be feeling like a certain topic always triggers you. You don't want to feel like you are stuck in a certain circumstance of your life because it's just too uncomfortable to face. If you have piles of debt, for example, you ignoring the debt is not going to make it go away. It's not. And as uncomfortable as it might be, you're going to have to look at it and figure out a game plan for yourself. If you feel like you are always jealous of people, or you can't be around other people that are beautiful because then you feel like you yourself are not as desirable, or whatever it might be, you're going to have to tackle that, because there's beautiful people all around. You're going to have to figure out how to navigate that and your feelings towards it. And if you find you're projecting onto people for whatever it might be, you're going to have to figure that out. If you are always tired and you are staying up until 2 a.m. every day and you're eating crap, you're going to have to take a second and think about how you're contributing to your situation and your circumstances. Whatever it is that you desire to work on, I believe in you. We're going to get through this together, and we're going to come out on the other side happier, healthier, just thriving, in my personal opinion. So I love you all so bad. Thank you so much for watching this. And if there's anything that you guys are currently working on right now that you know you're trying to audit or improve in your life, any categories, drop them in the comments. I would love to read them and just kiki with you guys. Anyways, have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching. Bye.